And welcome back to Tech Tuesday. I'm Steve Leahy. So I thought I would talk a little bit about UVLS Satin. I know I've done a Tech Tuesday on this stuff before, but I specifically want to talk about the final finish. I've started doing stuff a little bit differently at the end of this to give it a really nice sheen, and I want to kind of go over that. So this is the product that I use. It's made by Createx Colors, as the company that makes all the paint that I use. And it is a UVLS clear, which is a clear that helps protect against UV damage. This particular one that I use for the paintings is satin, but it also comes in gloss, high gloss, and matte as well. It's all the same product, it's just that they add whatever component it is to make them the sheen that you want, satin or matte. Gloss is the just a straight up version of it. So basically with this stuff I follow the directions, and let me show you a close-up of the final result. This is the Bugatti painting, and you can see that the sheen on this is even all the way across. It's nice if you don't have it in the light. It allows the color to be very, very clear, and then when the light does hit it, instead of a reflection, you get this soft kind of glow. So you get this even sheen across. So the way I do this, there's a lot of paintbrush work on this, a lot of airbrush, so there's a lot of dimension to this painting, especially down in the suspension area. There's a lot of paintbrush, and that usually has a little bit different dimension than the airbrush, which is really smooth. So what I normally do, or what I do now, is the very first coat of this. First off, before I get into that, this stuff, follow the directions. That's all I can say. You've seen me paint and you've seen me abuse the reduction ratios of the paints. Don't do it with this stuff. Follow the directions on this. You reduce it with the same reducer you used to paint with, which is the 4011. This guy here. So it's same reduction or same reducer that's used for the paint, which is convenient. And it's generally recommended that it's reduced about 10 to 15%. I believe you can go as high as 20%. And the reason why you need to reduce it is to go through whatever gun you have. So for the guns, the small stuff, I use the Createx Tritium, which has a 0.7 millimeter fan cap in it, which looks like this. And I like this because it produces a spray about this large from about this distance, which is perfect for my smaller paintings. If you're doing this on a larger panel, you're going to want a bigger gun. You can run this out of a smaller airbrush at about 5%, but that's when you need to really get into reducing it to 20%. But you don't want to go any more than 20% because then you start compromising the clear's ability to do what it does. So you don't want to do that. So that's the Createx that I use. And then what I do, is the very first pass on a painting is a light pass. So it's kind of an acclimation pass. And it's fairly light. It's just designed to get the clear onto the surface. And then I let that sit. I let that cure. It's best to let it cure under gentle moving air, like if you have a ceiling fan, or if you're working with a spray booth that has air circulated, that's the best. But you want that air to move across it. You don't want to blast it. You don't want to use a hairdryer on it and force cure it. You just want the air to be moving across to allow that clear to really evaporate and cure on the surface. After that coat, then I do a more medium coat, and I do the same thing. So you spray the coat and then you wait 15 to 20 minutes for it to cure, and then I repeat it again. So I'll put 4 coats on it like that, and that will allow me to get enough material built up onto that. So it takes about an hour to do this. You have to be patient with it. It will feel dry after about a minute, but you really want it to cure. So this stuff cures within 15 to 30 minutes, but then after 24 hours, it's a completely different animal. It really, really cures hard, which is nice. So after the 4th coat, I let that go. If I can, I let it go for a while, just to make sure that it's really on there and cured. And then what I do is I take 1000 grit sandpaper, and this is just an inexpensive sandpaper pad. I like them because they're small and they're foam, so they don't show the fingerprint when I actually start sanding. And then what I do is I end up sanding the whole thing. Now you don't sand it hard. All I'm doing is taking the ridges off the very tops of any texture that's created by the spray. I don't want to dig down into this, and you can. I mean, if you have 4 coats on this and you really sand, you'll get down through it pretty quickly. So all I'm doing is taking the top ridges off. And then what I do is I do another coat. And then I repeat the process. And I repeat the process each time with the sandpaper too. So let it cure enough and then sand it. And what's nice is when you sand it, it'll just powder off when it's cured, which is what you want. So sand it lightly, get all the ridges off, any high spots. And you just have to go really lightly. I can't stress that enough. And then I'll keep applying coats and keep sanding it until I get this finish, which is what comes out. And it's fantastic. So it's really nice. You have a lot of control over it, and it really helps your painting stay the way it's supposed to be, and it just looks great. So now I do this with the satin. I can't say that doing it with the gloss will work the same way. I haven't done this technique with the gloss, but if I did, what I would do is I would do exactly the same thing, sand between each one, except on the last coat, I wouldn't sand the last coat. That would give me the sheen I want. As far as the matte, you're kind of on your own because I don't use a matte at all. But again, the idea is to have a really smooth surface when you put that last coat on. So I would imagine, like again, if I were to use the matte, I would attack it the same way. I would sand between each coat till I had it really, really smooth, and then I'd apply that last coat of matte, and I'm assuming it would give you the finish you're looking for. So that's what I got. That's what I got on this Tech Tuesday. Again, I just kind of adopted it, trial and error with these small paintings, and it really, really works well for me. So I hope the same thing. I hope it works well for you. If you enjoy this Tech Tuesday, please consider hitting that like and subscribe and becoming a member here. It really helps things out. And also, if you really want to up your support of what I do around here, you can join the Patreon with these lovely folks. So thank you very much, everyone, and I will catch you guys on the next Tech Tuesday.